Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Here is a new comic book issue review. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 9 is the first appearance of the villain Electro and one of Peter Parker's lowest acts ever after he got his powers. The comic released November 12th, 1963, with a cover date of February 1st, 1964. This is the 119th comic in a Marvel Universe reading order. The story was written by Stan Lee, penciled and inked by Steve Ditko, and lettered by Artie Simek. I'll talk about the cover at the end of the video. The story opens up with Spider-Man rushing to a destination. He's so focused on it that he passes a shootout between some cops and robbers. I like how the robbers give up with Spider-Man approaching, but regret it instantly when they see Spidey wasn't going to interfere. This is because his Aunt May is sick and needs an operation in the hospital. For a fun fact, this is Dr. Bromwell's first appearance. Next, we are introduced to the villain of the issue, Electro. He is a man wearing a green and yellow suit with lightning bolt designs all over it. He is able to throw lightning from his hands. Today, he's stealing cash out of an armored car while cops are loading it up, committing a bank robbery. Classic bad guy. He sends lightning bolts to shock the security guards to scare them into letting him rob them. Later, Electro goes to the Forest Hills Bank. At the same time, J. Jonah Jameson is there for withdrawal. Electro breaks in and robs the place. While doing it, he talks to JJJ since I guess he reads the Daily Bugle, so he knows about the guy. While Jameson, for some dumb reason, thinks this means Electro is someone he knows, but in Amazing Spider-Man issue 1, he made a public press conference hating on Spider-Man, so technically, everyone can know his name and what he looks like, whatever. This moment Jameson is thinking Electro is someone he knows, leading him to think that Electro is Spider-Man. Well, that's actually not the only reason. Electro also uses his powers to climb up a wall using the metal side gutter. This moment is the worst part of the plot, and it makes no sense to me why Jameson would think Electro is Spider-Man. Jameson puts this big accusation is in his paper, and the public starts questioning if Electro is really Spider-Man. I like how at this point the cops are just letting Jameson hate on Spider-Man like it's an annoying billboard they pass by every day. Also, even the public is questioning if Jameson's claim is true or not since there's no proof. Peter Parker needs $1,000 for his aunt's operation. Jameson tells him if he gets proof Electro and Spider-Man are the same, he'll give him the money. After JJJ turns him down, he goes searching for Electro, remembering there's a reward for the rogue's capture. Searching the city, he comes across a man stargazing and the workers doing repairs on an electrical wire. It's a funny page. Spidey finally happens across Electro robbing a store, using his powers like a mine detector to locate a hidden safe. Electro sees Spider-Man in a reflection and fires a lightning bolt at the hero. Spider-Man barely dodges it. He remarks how fast the attack was. Then, the iconic shot on the cover happens. He grabs Electro's back and is hit with a bunch of electricity, knocking Spider-Man out. Electro didn't even mean to do that to Spider-Man. Spider-Man never gave him a chance to explain his full powers. Electro leaves, thinking Spider-Man dead. I really like the writing here for Electro. He doesn't care that Spider-Man's dead, but he was never going out of his way to actually hurt somebody like that. Clearly, Spider-Man is not dead, and when Peter wakes up, really needing the money for his Aunt May's life-saving operation, he takes the pictures he took of Electro and new Spider-Man pictures and then poses them to make it seem like he caught Spider-Man changing into Electro. So, Peter basically lies and cheats to get Jameson's money, knowing how this would backfire on him. Since he had no plans to quit being Spider-Man if he did, I can see how he can justify his action a little bit, but no. He does this criminal action fully knowing he basically just cheated Jameson. Now, he does feel guilty about it and things wrap up nice, but Peter here is still acting wrong. Sure, it's for somebody else, someone good, his Aunt May, but it's still a criminal act, and many would think when a person becomes a superhero, that person committing such a clear crime would never happen again. So clearly, like in the story, I also think of the quote from Spider-Man 3, "Pictures are fake, Empire State Photographic Department confirms it." And I like that the public is still questioning if this is true or not. Electro secretly being Spider-Man. With that in mind, a similarity/contrast between Spider-Man and his nemesis Electro is they both got great superpowers completely by chance. They both started out using their powers for selfish gain, but for Peter, he was taught the iconic power comes responsibility thanks to the death of his Uncle Ben, but Electro, he just kept getting away with his selfishness, committing crimes and getting more and more power. With 2020 vision, it's cool that this issue has Peter struggling with his morals, cheating Jameson out of $1,000 and ruining his paper's reputation some more. By the way, somehow Lion Man Max Dillon had enough money saved up to make himself a mini electrical power station to recharge himself with energy. Ooh, look, this is a moment where Peter chooses between his responsibility as Spider-Man or Peter Parker. Here's the Electros breaking out locked up criminals from the detention center, but Pete decides to go to the hospital and stay until Aunt May awakens. Is the responsibilities of Peter Parker more important than Spider-Man? Well, I would say yes, but it's still a conflict. Let's talk about Electro's origin story. Electro's real name is Max Dillon. Did Stanley name him Max because that term, Max, for the highest current level for his system? Anyway, he was always a selfish guy, only looking out for himself, and one day, a man was stuck on a power line, and Max, being the best electrical poleman, they had to give in to his demands for a payment to save the guy. Well, 1,000,001 chance happened when Max was still on the pole, all alone. He was hit by a random lightning bolt. He fell straight to the ground, but survived. Not just that, he felt stronger than ever. When Max went home, his wire clothes hanger got caught in his arm, causing him some charge for electricity to shoot out of his hand. He realized that he has superpowers now, and he's gonna use it to get anything he wants. He then creates a costume and names himself Electro, and I like this costume for Electro more than any others in Electro's life. His major plan at the end of this comic is to create his own crime gang by releasing a bunch of prisoners. When the criminals' cells are open, most of them just leave Electro, not caring about him at all, even with his superpowers. That's actually a big part of Electro's character. At least in his best stories, Electro feels like a loser. No one cares about him, and he just wants attention he feels he deserves. One cool moment while fighting Electro gets knocked back into metal cell bars, and that causes a blinding flash as Electro's body gets revitalized thanks to the metal. In the first guidebook for Spider-Man I got, the right panel here has some guy trying to hit Spider-Man to showcase Spider-Man's spider sense. Spider-Man having Electro slip on metal balls is also something so ridiculous I have to make the excuse that maybe Electro's powers messed up with him walking here, I don't know. When Electro throws his lightning bolts, it seems like they can be averted by tossing steel and other metals at them like a chair. I don't remember this ever happening again though. Spider-Man also kicks a bucket of sand at Electro, and he turns the sand into glass. Just wanted to mention this since it happened in Electro's first appearance, and while Sandman becomes glass sometimes, actually, I think Electro is going to accidentally hit Sandman with a lightning bolt in the never-made James Cameron Spider-Man film. At the end of the battle, Spider-Man just hits Electro with the water from a hose. Spider-Man remarks that Electro was one of his most powerful enemies, and he was defeated by an ordinary water hose. And that he has no idea the person under the mask is, basically cataloging Electro as a loser without the powers he got by luck. Nothing about being a Master Lion Man, nothing about any other accomplishments Max may have had in his life, nothing and a nobody. I think it's a perfect ending for Electro's first appearance. Now to talk about Peter Parker's side of things. Flash Thompson has a standout moment here which becomes really important to remember for Peter and Flash's relationship in the future. It is such a short moment, but Flash tries to talk to Peter, wanting to probably apologize or even befriend him, but Peter is too focused on getting back to his sick aunt and cares very little for his classmates, so he just ignores Flash, causing Flash to remark that his assumption about Peter always being a big zero was correct. In the future, these two become almost best friends, second to Harry Osborn, and Flash remarks that Peter was just as much a quote-unquote bully to him as he was to Peter, since Peter would fight back against Flash Thompson with insults in a boxing match, like in the last issue. Now let's talk about the first real love interest of Spider-Man, Betty Brant. In issue 7, her and Peter became a lot closer than just co-workers. In this issue, she goes out of her way to visit Aunt May and worries about Pete. One thing is, Betty really doesn't like Peter risking his life getting these Spider-Man pictures for the Daily Bugle. If only she knew. She says that Peter doing this reminds her of someone from her past, and this is explained upon decades later in the comic Untold Tales of Spider-Man 12. Peter gets serious about it and doesn't even try to compromise with her about taking dangerous pictures. That conflict gets Peter to admit he likes Betty more than any other girl in his life. At the very end of the comic, the two apologize to each other, their argument about Spider-Man photos, and walks away from the hospital together, as the captions tell us, in love. There's moments that makes you Spider-Man a unique superhero. You see him having problems only a kid hero with a secret identity could have. He needs to hide his secret identity from his own family here, and he also closes the blinds so no one sees him. from the street, I guess, street view. He also goes home because he's trying to take pictures for Spider-Man to get Spider-Man photos for Daily Bugle, but his camera isn't waterproof, so when it started raining, he just had to give up and go home and dry out his costume. Now, how did Peter get away with selling fake photos to J. Jonah Jameson? Well, Peter, walking into Jameson's office all cocky at the very end of the story, telling Jameson that he's not going to get fired because he's freelance, which, I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. But also, he's not getting fired because he has exclusive pictures of Spider-Man fighting Electro at the detention center. Peter lets Jameson get the pictures for free, robbing Peter Parker, but Pete's conscience is clear now. Yeah, Jameson says he could have gotten these pictures for $5,000, but he's okay now. I want to talk a bit about Jameson. I like how he's a loudmouthed character no matter who he talks to or where he goes. This quote always makes me laugh. When I give an order, I expect people to hop. And it's hilarious how he turns his attitude on a dime. Like when he gets the Electro vs. Spider-Man pictures from Peter Parker, he starts saying he was faking being mad at Parker, and Peter Parker plays along with it, causing Jameson to play along more with it. All his scenes in this issue are gold, just like in the Raimi trilogy. One little thing, we see Jameson yell out a curse word here, although I think this happens before this issue also. Now, let's talk about the letter pages named The Spider's Web. Somebody say Steve Ditko is the right fit to draw Spider-Man, but if he was drawing Fantastic Four, it would fail. And some of the letters were congratulations on how good they thought Amazing Spider-Man issue 5 was. One says, Spider-Man should be honored by the public because of his good deeds. One writer points out an issue where Spider-Man slithers down an air vent, hangs upside down, shows off his spider signal, but it shines right side up, when it should be upside down. One writer asks for Spider-Man, the Human Torch, and Iceman together. The next letter says he wants a Spider-Man TV show. Kinda hint, knowing about the future. Sounds a lot like Spider-Man and his amazing friends. In 9 issues, Spider-Man already had 5 supervillains that would be major players in his comic book history. At the time, the cover was correct in promoting Spider-Man as the most original superhero of all time, and it turned out true that Spider-Man's spider strength was useless against Electro, defeating him with water. The bottom of the cover says, "See the defeat of Spider-Man," but that happened in issues 2, 3, 4, 7, and well, obviously the 3rd issue. That was a big point of that story. Like, it's not that big of a deal at this point, Spider-Man getting defeated. Anyway, thank you for watching this giant comic issue review, and I hope you enjoyed.